In this video I will show you how to create a proximity voice chat system in Unreal Engine. I already have such a video, but I saw many of you are still struggling with this topic, so I thought I will remake this video, but better with more information and so on. So let's get right into it. So this is a completely fresh project. I just created this and I will now going to show you step by step what you need to do in order to make this work. So the first thing you need for a working voice chat system is a working session system. So there are multiple systems available. I use the free advanced session system. I made multiple videos already on how to implement this, but just for the sake of this video, I will also show it to you now again. You can skip this chapter if you already have a working session system. As I said, I use the advanced session plugin. You can download this from this site. This is the official site, and just download it for your version. I will choose the latest, of course, which is 5.5.1. So just go ahead and download this. You don't need to use this plugin, but I will use it because it is free. You can also use other solutions and the voice chat should still work with those other solutions. After you have downloaded this, you need to locate your project in the Explorer. So just go to your project wherever you installed it and then create a new folder and call this plugins, okay? And just drag and drop the downloaded zip file into here and also unpack this here. Alright, it is unpacked. I just created a new window, so this is the unpacked file, and just in this window open your plugins folder, and in this window open the advanced session, and you only need those first two folders, so drag and drop them into your plugins folder and then you can delete this advanced session stuff again. So it should look like this. This is your project with the plugins folder and you should have those two plugins in here. And then just close the Unreal Engine and start it again. Okay, and to check if that worked, go to plugins and there should be those two plugins. You also need to search for OnlineSubsystem and you need to enable OnlineSubsystem, you need to enable OnlineSubsystemSteam and OnlineSubsystem Utils. So make sure these are all enabled. If not, enable them and restart the engine. After that, we can actually close this project for now again. Because what we need to do, we need to also edit the config in order for Steam to fully work. So go into the config folder in your project and open the default Engine.ini file. And if you were to open the second link in the description, you would go on this site, and this is just how to use basically the subsystem system. And here's finished settings, so just copy this full snippet. I think I also provided you it in the description of this video, so you don't have to go on the site. And what you have to do is just put an enter here and paste this. And this is wrong, so just remove some of the stuff here, just like that. Don't delete too much, just the things that we don't need. Okay, and it should look like this. Make sure to save this, of course. If you have a SteamDevAppId, you can change this here, by the way. You need to change this here. If not, you can use 480. This is the space war test game that Steam provides. So after that, just open up the engine again. You can check if everything worked by going to standalone game and play this. Save your level and just play this game. And as you might have noticed, Steam doesn't work and we can't open the Steam overlay. So something is wrong and this is the first mistake. Because if you want this to work, you actually need to run Steam. So just open Steam. Okay, Steam is now running in the background. So let's test this again. Maybe this was your mistake, but now the Steam overlay should pop up right there, and we also can open this just like this. And this means you have correctly set up the sessions, the Steam system. And now we also need to set up the session system. So this is the second step you need to take before implementing voice chat. So the first thing you want to do, you want to create a new game instance, because this is basically the place where you handle servers and sessions stuff. So let's just search for game instance, and with this plugin you get the advanced friends game instance. I like to use that because that enables you to also invite friends over Steam using this plugin. You can also use a normal game instance. I will just use the advanced friends game instance for now. So let's call this game instance underscore main, because there's only one game instance per game. And what you then have to do, let's quickly save this. And what you then have to do is you need to go into the project settings, you need to go to maps and modes, and then here you need to select the game instance we just created, and then you can easily create sessions. So go into the advanced friends game instance that we created, and in here let's create a new custom event and call this host session. Host session, like this. And to create basic sessions, what you just have to do is you need to create a advanced session and connect this to the player controller, and on success we want to open a level and choose by object reference because this is pretty cool to use. But before we set a level here, we need to create some levels. So I will just add a feature or content pack, and I will choose the first person example and add this to the project. And I will also add another feature or content pack, and I will choose the third person example. Let's go into the first person character for now, and we just have arms. So to change that, click on mesh, and in here search for the third person character we just added, but this is called Manny, I think. Yeah, Manny. And for the animation, we are going to use the Manny animations, just like that. And then let's center the mesh, type -96 and the rotation of -90. After that, let's also center the camera, like so. And one thing you need to do is go to this character and type in owner no see, so only other players can see this. If we now go to the first person map, and set this so we have 2 players, and we test a new editor window, then we have 2 instances, and we also of course need to set players listen server, and then we have 2 instances, and we can see each other as you can see, and everything works for now here. So the next thing that we are going to do is we go back to the game instance and we select this first person map, just like this. And what you want to do, you want to open this and you want to type in !listen to create a listen server. This is very important, don't forget this, okay? So after that, you have created the basic host session setup. You can of course tweak some of these settings, for example, how many players can connect to your game. And to actually call this function, I will create a simple widget, and for that, let's go back into the untitled level and let's add a new widget blueprint into here. Call this widget blueprint _ main menu, for example. This is a very simple setup. Let's add a canvas panel to freely move stuff around on there. Let's add a vertical box and make it like so. And let's add a few buttons. I also want text on those buttons. And those 2 buttons should just be host game, and the other one should be join game. Don't worry, I won't create such a session browser or something. I will just search for a session and join the first session that we find. So set this anchor to be like in the middle, like just like that. Set the alignment so it's always perfectly in the middle, and size to content. No, don't take size to content. And in this level blueprint, I will create the widget. Normally you would use a player controller, but for sake of keeping this video short, let's just do it in here. So let's create a widget. Let us choose the main menu that we just created and add this to the viewport. You also want to set show mouse cursor so the player sees his mouse cursor, and you also want to set input mode UI only so he can't fly around. So just like that, and connect this up. And if we now were to test this with 1 player, like that, we have this basic main menu, but nothing works yet. So in order to change this, go into here, set these buttons to be variable, and then on host game, when we click this, we want something to happen, and on join game, when we click this, we also want something to happen. So for host game, just get the game instance. And from here you want to cast to our game instance main to get this function that we created earlier, the host session function. And that's it for now. Alright, and the join game is also pretty easy. Just create a new function in the game instance, call it, let's call it join session, and then search for the node find sessions advanced, and get the player controller again. Let's set the max result to something small like 5 because we don't have many sessions, and we also just get the first one. Let's search for all servers, and let's just from here type join session. And let's connect the player controller up, and this should also work. Go into the widget again and just copy this and join the session this time. So if we now were to test this with 2 players and a new editor window, and wait 1 second, we need one thing we need to change is that this to be client, player's client. Then you can see that we can host a session on one instance, and on the other instance we can join this exact session. Another thing you notice is that you can't move around, and let's quickly fix this. You see joining works, but let's quickly fix this now. So in here on event begin play, so just hold P and left click, we want to set the input mode game only, just like that. Get the player controller, of course. Compile, save, and try again. So on this client I want to host this game, and on the other client I want to join this game. This can take a while because we're enumerating through servers, so just give it some time. You can also make it so we can't press this button twice by disabling it or something. But now we are joined, as you can see, and our session setup is complete. And now let's get to the actual voice chat stuff. We also have some errors, but these are just because we tested this with the client, player's client thing, and you can ignore those. So in order to now add voice chat, go into your first person character. Let's make this a bit bigger. What you then want to do on event begin play, you want to call a custom event, and this we call initialize voice chat, for example. So call it in here, initialize voice chat, and that's it for now. On event begin, and on here we want to add a VoIP talker. VoIP is the system of Unreal Engine for voice chat, the built-in system. So after that we want to promote this to a variable so we can easily access it later, and let's call this VoIP reference, for example. Then what you want to do, you want to get the player state and check it if it is valid. This is the wrong player state, so really get this one from the pawn, because if this is not valid, the VoIP will not initialize correctly, so we need to check if this is valid, and if it is not valid, just add a tiny delay to check if it is valid, so it doesn't cause any issues along the way. So then from the player state, search for register with player state, and you see we don't find anything, so let's remove the context sensitivity and choose this register with player state function. Keep the owning state connected, and for target just select our VoIP reference. I would just use this variable. Also, you need to set the mic threshold to -1. Here, this is just the threshold for the microphone, basically. -1 sets it to have no threshold. So then we need to get the VoIP reference and set its settings. This is the part where you set the settings for proximity voice chat, for example, or you can add a effect to your voice, like a walkie-talkie effect, and you can attach it to a component. So in order to create attenuation, you want to create a new sound attenuation for proximity voice chat. You can also leave these strings empty to have like a global voice chat. So let us create a sound attenuation for now. So search for sound attenuation. I will call this SA_VoIP, and I will open this. And for proximity voice chat, what you just have to do is nothing, because this is already a basic setup of a sound attenuation queue. So go back into your character and select this attenuation we just created. I won't set a source effect chain in this video, but you can do this if you want. We also want to attach this component to our capsule component. So just drag this out and attach it like that. And then this voice chat is basically bound to our capsule. If you want to have it exact, you can even attach it to our camera. Before we continue, I want to mention that you can get these project files on my Patreon or as a YouTube member, so go check out what other stuff you can get there, and you also support my work and support that I create future videos. I also attached you some further information on how to expand this voice chat system. So for example, I show you how to make your own microphone louder or quieter with a slider for the voice chat and other stuff like that. So let's continue. Okay, but now this basic setup is done, but you probably don't have time to test this with someone else, so there's a solution for that, because we have a console comment that we can use to hear ourselves to basically test if this is working. So in order to do this, add a branch by holding B and left clicking and check if this is locally controlled, like so. And if it is, we want to execute the console command. And now pay attention, because many people do this step wrong. Type oss.voice loop back, the second this B must be small, and type in 1. Exactly like this, nothing can be different. Exactly like this. Please don't make this mistake. And because we actually want to hear ourselves, we need to add another console comment. So let's delete this one, and and you need to do toggle speaking 1, also exactly like this, or else it won't work. Okay. And you can also make it so if you press a specific key, like the V keyboard, this would be open mic, but if you do it like this with a V keyboard, you have push to talk basically, but this time on the bottom one, set it to 0, just like that. If we were to test this now, it's still nothing would work, because we again need to change our engine default engine.ini file. So open this up again, go to config default engine.ini. This time I don't have a link that I can attach to you, but I will just make things easy to understand. So first, locate your OnlineSubsystem Steam and OnlineSubsystem, and above and between that you want to add a new point, and you call this voice, and you enable voice. So set this to true, exactly like this, not exactly like this, exactly like this. bEnabled true, and with this voice thing, of course. Then on OnlineSubsystem you also need to add something here. bHasVoiceEnabled equals true, exactly like this. bHasVoiceEnabled equals true. And after that you have finished at this file, but we also need to change another file. So go into your config again, and this time open the default game.ini. This time it's a bit more complex, but I will paste you everything in the description definitely. So add these brackets again and type script /engine.GameSession and bRequiresPushToTalk equals true, just like this, and save this. After that you can reopen your project, and let me now enable desktop audio so you hear what is going on. So back in the engine, select like 2 players for example. No, I will select 1 to show it to you. So if we now hit play, even though we don't have Steam working, the voice chat still works, but this only works in newer versions. So if I now press push to talk, you can hear I can hear myself, and this is very irritating. I won't do that anymore, but you heard that we hear ourselves. So before you stop this video, I have some important things to say. One important thing is, in all the versions, this doesn't work in play and editor mode. You need to test it in standalone game, and in even all the versions you need to test it on a launch project, and this doesn't work in editor at all. So you need to launch your entire project every time you want to test this. Next thing, how to improve the voice quality, because this was pretty bad, and it is very simple. Go into your project settings, go to all settings and search for VoIP. And here you have low quality. You can set this to normal. Okay, so if we test this now again, hello, hello. You hear it is much better, way better. Also, why do I just hear this on my right ear? This is because we attach this to our camera component, and proximity is not supposed to hear yourself, but if we were to test this on a Steam game, for example, it would sound completely normal and directional voice chat just as usual. Also, some more important things if this is not working for you. One common issue is that in your Windows sound settings there's a wrong microphone selected. So just make sure under input you select your right microphone and you have like this bar when you talk. Also, definitely make sure that you have spelled everything perfectly correctly like I did, okay? Else it won't work. Also make sure you have the config set up correctly or else it won't work. Also make sure you have sessions set up correctly or else it won't work. If you're using an older version and it doesn't work, make sure to press the push to talk button for a longer time. On the very first try I sometimes had it. It took me like 5 to 10 seconds to actually work, but then it was smooth. So if you are using like 4.26 or an older version or something like that and it doesn't work, just try this. Also, it might be the case that your microphone is just very, very quiet. So make sure to scream in your microphone and see if you hear yourself then. And if it still doesn't work, you did something wrong. Like there's no way it still doesn't work. But if it actually still doesn't work, make sure to join my Discord and I will try to help you fix your issues. Because everyone who joined my Discord was frustrated that my tutorial didn't work, but after they joined, they just saw that they spelled something incorrectly or something, you know? So make sure you followed this video correctly and go check out my Patreon or my YouTube memberships to get the project files for this video. And I hope you enjoyed this and don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.